In 1848, a 13-year-old Scottish immigrant named Andrew Carnegie started working in a Pittsburgh cotton factory for 20 cents a day. His family was so poor they lived in a single basement room and could barely afford food. 60 years later, that same boy had become the richest man in human history, controlling more wealth than Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk combined in today's money. But here's what makes Carnegie's story truly extraordinary. He systematically gave away 90% of his fortune before he died. And he did it using the same methodical approach that made him rich in the first place. Most people think Andrew Carnegie succeeded through luck, timing, or ruthless business tactics. But Carnegie built his empire using 3 systematic principles that had nothing to do with the steel industry and everything to do with understanding how wealth actually compounds. More remarkably, he applied these same principles in reverse to systematically distribute his fortune, proving that both building and giving away massive wealth can be engineered rather than left to chance. Carnegie didn't just get rich, he created a systematic blueprint for wealth creation that worked so well. He felt morally obligated to teach others how to replicate it through strategic philanthropy. The first principle that defined how Andrew Carnegie worked was what he called systematic vertical integration. This wasn't just about controlling supply chains. Carnegie understood that lasting wealth comes from controlling every element that affects the value creation process, rather than depending on external factors you cannot influence. When Carnegie entered the steel industry, most companies focused on becoming efficient at one specific part of the production process. They would buy raw materials from suppliers, manufacture steel products, and sell to distributors. This approach left them vulnerable to price fluctuations, supply disruptions, and profit margin compression from multiple intermediaries. Carnegie took a completely different approach. Instead of optimizing one part of the steel production process, he systematically acquired control of every element that affected steel pricing and quality. He bought iron ore mines to control raw material costs. He purchased coal fields to control energy expenses. He acquired shipping companies to control transportation. He built his own railroads to control distribution. But Carnegie's systematic vertical integration went beyond physical assets. He also integrated the human elements of wealth creation. He systematically recruited the most talented engineers, managers, and innovators in every aspect of his business. He didn't just hire good people. He created systematic processes for identifying, developing, and retaining the specific talents that would compound his competitive advantages. The practical result was that Carnegie could produce steel at costs his competitors couldn't match, while maintaining quality standards they couldn't replicate. But the strategic result was that Carnegie had built a wealth-generating system that improved automatically as it grew larger, creating what economists now call network effects decades before that term existed. The second principle was what Carnegie called systematic knowledge accumulation. This was the idea that sustainable competitive advantage comes from continuously learning faster than your competitors, then systematically applying that knowledge to improve your operations. Carnegie spent several hours every day reading books, industry publications, and technical journals related to his businesses. But he didn't just consume information passively. He systematically tested new ideas in controlled experiments within his operations, measured the results precisely, and scaled successful innovations across his entire enterprise. More importantly, Carnegie systematized knowledge sharing within his organization. He required his managers to document their discoveries, share successful innovations across different facilities, and continuously train other employees in improved methods. This created a systematic learning organization where knowledge compounded instead of remaining isolated in individual minds. Carnegie also applied systematic knowledge accumulation to understanding economic trends and market cycles. While his competitors focused on day-to-day operations, Carnegie studied long-term economic patterns. and positioned his businesses to benefit from predictable market changes rather than just surviving them. This systematic approach to knowledge allowed Carnegie to anticipate industry changes, adopt new technologies faster than competitors, and make strategic investments based on superior understanding of economic forces rather than speculation or intuition. The third principle was systematic wealth distribution. Most people focus on how Carnegie made money, but his approach to giving it away reveals the systematic thinking that made his wealth creation possible in the first place. Carnegie didn't just donate money randomly or wait until retirement to think about philanthropy. He developed systematic principles for wealth distribution that were designed to create maximum long-term benefit rather than temporary relief. His famous Gospel of Wealth outlined systematic methods for using private wealth to address public problems more effectively than government or charity could achieve. Carnegie's systematic approach to philanthropy focused on investments that would compound over time rather than consumption that would provide temporary benefit. Instead of giving money directly to poor individuals, he built libraries that would educate entire communities for generations. Instead of funding immediate relief, he established universities and research institutions that would generate knowledge and opportunity continuously. But Carnegie's most systematic insight was understanding that teaching people how to create wealth was more valuable than simply transferring wealth to them. His philanthropic investments focused on education, research, and infrastructure that would enable others to develop their own systematic approaches to value creation. Here's what's most instructive about how Andrew Carnegie worked. He didn't just build a business empire, he created systematic approaches to both wealth creation and wealth distribution that remain the foundation of modern capitalism and philanthropy. Carnegie's systematic vertical integration became the template for every dominant industry player, from John D. Rockefeller to modern tech giants like Amazon and Tesla. His systematic knowledge accumulation established the research and development processes that drive continuous innovation in successful companies today. His systematic wealth distribution created the model for strategic philanthropy that guides billionaire giving from Bill Gates to Warren Buffett. Modern entrepreneurs often focus on disrupting existing industries or creating entirely new markets. Carnegie proved that you can achieve extraordinary results by systematically controlling and optimizing existing processes rather than hoping to discover revolutionary innovations. Carnegie worked by integrating systematically, learning continuously, and distributing strategically. He understood that the goal of wealth creation wasn't just personal enrichment, but developing systematic approaches to value creation that could benefit society when properly applied. In today's economy, where wealth inequality creates social tensions, Andrew Carnegie's systematic approach to both building and distributing wealth offers a template for creating value that benefits creators and society simultaneously. The question isn't whether Carnegie's principles can work in modern business. The success of companies and philanthropists that follow his systematic approaches proves they can. The question is whether modern entrepreneurs are willing to think systematically about both creating and distributing value rather than focusing exclusively on personal wealth accumulation.